Today I'm going to be checking out the Pergear S5 laser engraver. I'm going to take everything out of here and we'll start putting it together. LaserStorm. Cool name. It comes with a pretty nice instruction manual. For step one, we'll take our 4 aluminum extrusions and arrange them like this. Then we'll start installing these screws. It looks like you want the Pergear up in the top right, LaserStorm in the bottom left, and the ruler on the left side. Now in step 2, I'm just going to roll this gantry onto the frame. I'm on step 2, so I'll open this bag up. Now I'm going to attach this electronics box. Here's step 3. I have a couple belts here. You're going to want to thread this belt in like this. Put it under both of the wheels and over this pulley. So I just thread it in like that. And then I'll do the same thing for this side where I thread it under the wheel. Then I want to pull these pulleys tight. And then I'll take one of these T-slot nuts and basically anchor it down over here. When I tighten this down, that'll clamp onto that belt. Seems like an odd way to do it, but it looks like it works pretty well. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And you'll want to make sure to pull the belt so you have the appropriate level of tension. If you wanted things to be tidy, you could trim the ends off with a pair of cutters and then put these end caps on. But there's a small chance that I might need to retension these later. So I'm just going to tuck them in down here so that if I ever need to retension them, I have this little tab that I can pull on. And I'm going to drop the laser into place. Now I just need to wire everything up. So that only took about 20 to 30 minutes to put together. Now I can start engraving stuff. Ah, there we go. Okay, the emergency stop was pressed. I can start up any of these print jobs. I do a lot of one-off stuff, so I find it better to just control it through the computer. So if you want to control this over USB, just plug it into your computer like this. Looks like everything's working fine. The cutouts that I defined are using a DXF file, which you can export from Fusion 360. So if you go into one of your sketches on Fusion 360, just click on it, right-click, and save as DXF. Now I'm going to load up the object that I want to print. So I'll do Import, Aquila Panels, open that up. So I want to move this down to the bottom left, just so that I'm not wasting too much area. And then I'm going to delete out anything that I don't want to print. So some of these lines were construction lines in my CAD model that I don't actually want to cut out. Now that those are all deleted, if I go to my cuts/layers, I can assign my speed and power. So right now I'm 400 millimeters per second, that's pretty good. And I want to have my power setting at 100%. And that's typically what you'll do if you're cutting through something. And I think we're ready to cut this out. Now I've got this set up outside. I'm just going to plug in this SD card. And then using the commands on the screen, I'll just hit carve and select the job that I want to cut out. So I'll keep an eye on this and make sure it doesn't catch on fire or anything. But this is a longer engraving job, so I'm just going to leave it alone and let it do its thing. This is some underlayment plywood, and I found this to be the cheapest stuff that I could get at my local hardware store. That's relatively easy to cut and looks nice. And you can see it's just barely held in there. There's a little line here that's not all the way cut through, but I can just break that pretty easily. So just like that, I broke the object free. So here's my finished parts. I'd say they look pretty good. Here's my Voxelab Aries, and I want to put one of these panels on either side of it. Now I'm going to add some magnets so that these are held in place automatically. So first I'm going to press fit a magnet into this hole. I like using these Nipex pliers. They're really good at press fitting things into small holes like this. Then to make sure these magnets don't come out, I'm just going to put a little tape over them. I've marked my targets for where these screws need to go, so I'm just going to heat them up. So just like that, I've closed up most of the open area on my Voxelab Aries. These are the types of projects you can do with a large area laser cutter like this. Since I have a relatively large build volume, I can do graphic t-shirts and stuff. It just basically bleaches the fabric because it's burning up the pigments. You can see if I touch this fabric, it's not like disintegrating or anything, so that means this should make for a pretty nice shirt. This is way too slow. This has already been half an hour. The whole thing's probably going to take maybe 4 or 5 hours. So I'm going to stop this and adjust the settings just so that it finishes a little faster. I'm going to increase the power to 100%. and I'm going to move this laser upwards so that it's not quite as focused. My details won't be as crisp with this setting, but hopefully I'll be able to get this engraving job done faster. With these new settings, it should only take 10 to 15 minutes to finish this whole engraving. But overall, I'd say this is a pretty good result for a first try. It'll be interesting to see if this pattern stays on there after I wash it. I think this part of the shirt got a little over-etched, just because I had to run over it so many times. In terms of its cost and size, this LaserStorm represents excellent value. Its 400 by 400 millimeter cutting area is suitable for medium to large size projects. In this video, I focused more on cutting out large objects, but I did a video a couple months back on a similar 5-watt laser engraver. In that video, I engraved various surfaces including wood, brick, metal, and more. So check that video out if you want to learn more about the engraving capabilities of a 5-watt laser diode. Overall, I'm very impressed with this new generation of laser diodes hitting the market. It really brings down the cost and complexity of entry-level laser cutters and engravers, since the machines are simpler, smaller, and lighter than the old CO2 lasers. And if you want to get into laser cutting on a budget, this is the best way to go. I'd like to give a big thanks to my patrons for their support, and to Pergear for sending over this laser for review. I'll leave links in the description where you can buy this laser. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.